Hi everybody, it's Jean here. I'm working on my quilt and my Lone Star quilt, and I've done my applique, my multicolor applique, which is what I'm going to be showing you today, how I did this up here. It's really easy. And I know everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's such a hard quilt. And how did you do it so quick? My husband and I were debating, he's like, oh, I sound like I'm bragging, but my husband's like, oh, that's a masterpiece. And I'm thinking, I know how to put colors together. I like to think of myself as an artist, but the actual construction method is really quite easy. It really is. And as I showed you how to do the stars with the interfacing, it was all done for me. But what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to show you how I've done this. And again, it's my machine. It's called an Accuquilt, which I'm going to be showing you. I've constructed the borders a little bit differently on this. You know how when you make a quilt, this was 60 inches square, and then I added the white and the black stripe. Well, you then would add your side borders, 2 side borders. Put it over here also. You'd add your side borders. And then you would add your top and bottom border, right, when you're constructing your quilt. Well, what I've done is I didn't want to mess about with my quilt body with the borders on, trying to put my applique on. Not hard, but it's not a huge quilt. It'll be about 78 inches when it's finished, square. Not a huge quilt. But what I did, and I'll show you, I've done 3 sides, or top and 2 sides. I actually cut out my border, which was about 9.5 inches or something, 9 inches. Again, I just cut out 2 pieces of width of fabric, put them together. There's the seam in the middle, and then just went from center out, and then I cut the edges off. Yeah, to make my top, my borders. I'll show you how I did it. So I was working with just, to do this applique method here, I was just working with a piece of black fabric this wide by that long. And then I'll show you with my Accuquilt, my cutter, how that I actually got those things. And I was saying to you before, I thought I'd do like one lot of color and then another lot of color, following sort of the directions on the Accucut thing. Anyway, it was a bit boring. I'm not boring. So there is a method to this. It looks a little bit all over the place and all over, but I'll show you what I did. This from about here, where I'm pointing, to about here, it will be on all 4 sides, are the same pattern. If you can see, this little swirl here with these larger teardrops, that I'm following a pattern. I was going to be making this so it's the flowers all the way, the feathers all the way around, but that pattern sort of stopped from here to here, which I'll show you what I'm cutting out. And then I thought it was a little bit. I was just going to work from inside out. That was my thought process, and add another. But and it stopped from about here to here. But as I was going along, I thought I just quite like it on just leaving some black at the corners up here. But then it was here, so I added just random, no pattern, no pattern. I added these at the end of each of the applique. I just sort of cut them out, and if you notice, they're different colorways. You can't really notice, but I just started cutting out random shapes and sticking them on to make the border, to make this applique just a little bit longer. But I am going to be leaving the corners. This corner, the 4 corners, I'm going to be leaving black. And then I'm going to actually, I showed you the feather quilting stencil for my blocks, but I actually have a feather corner stencil. So I'm going to be, I was sort of almost be continuing this feather around the all four corners. When we get to that, I'll show you how I've done that. It's so funny. I threw this out on the sofa in our family room, and my husband, like, like, oh, do you like my quilt? And he's like, oh, he said, he's my greatest fan, right? So he says, I love the white dots. And I'm going, what are you talking about? There's no white dots. What are you saying? White dots? Sometimes I think he's, and he's like, those white dots. I said, they're not dots, they're stripes. Do you see dots? Yeah, all of a sudden, he said, well, you made 1 inch, like about 1 inch white dots, or white squares. And I'm like, isn't it funny what people see? He sees, and then I looked at it through his eyes, and there's white squares, there's white dots around my striped fabric, because I cut it 1.5, and it ends up 1 inch squares. But because of you don't see the black stripe, you just see white dots, as it were. It's so funny. It's so funny. Oh, and again, I like it. I love it. I think it's pretty with my lovely flowers here, my borders. But again, I'm going to probably, this is just a scrap, I'm going to just add another black and white at the top there. And then just a little one. Again, I'll have the dots. I'll match them up, as it were. And then I'm just a bit wider, and then I'm gonna bind it in black. I'm gonna bind it in black. Oh, yeah, because again, remember how I was saying I thought the star looked a little bit dead with just the black, so I added this black and white stripe. And again, as your eye turns out, the colors are real pretty on the applique, but it to me it needs another little, just that little oomph at the end. And somebody said, oh, it's a real carnival, and I like that. I like that expression. Hope it's not clownish. It's a real carnival, the colors, the colorways. Yeah, so I'm working on this, and I'm going to show you how I, with my Accuquilt, my cutter, how I actually cut these applique. There's something called, oh, this might, my phone might click out, my camera. It's called Steam A Seam, Steam-A Seam, S-E-A-M. I had a package of Light, L-I-T-E, Light Steam A Seam 2, and it's the fusible web that you need for this for the applique. These are glued, as it were, down. Now I was saying I usually use glue stick. For this, there would be an awful lot of glue stick, and it would probably freak you guys out, because there's all these just half glued down feathers that I would take to my machine. So I want to show you, maybe if you have a small project with the applique, how you use this actual product. But I had gotten the Light Steam A Seam 2 in a package. You get 5, I believe 5 12 by 12 sheets or something like that. It's expensive. It was like $7. I got a coupon at Giant Fabrics, but I did this much. No, I did about this much. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I did about this much, because you'll see how it's used. You'll see it takes up a lot of this this fusible interfacing. So anyway, I went back and I was rethinking it. So I went back to the store and I got a Pellon, which I'll be showing you the label, what I actually used for this. It was a little bit cheaper, but this much. I mean, it's not. This is not going to be an inexpensive quilt if I sell it. This takes a lot of the product, and it wouldn't have taken a lot of my glue, but I thought, well, I'm going to do this, and working with so many little bits, I'll do it with the Fusible, which normal people do. Now, now you're probably going to be saying, oh, can you just leave that like it's glued down? If this was a wall hanging, absolutely, you could just leave it. You could just quilt it, like from here to here, like here and here, and leave that. This is going to be a quilt, so so this is going to be a quilt. So they really, as I was saying, on a wall hanging, you could just leave this, because it's quite secure actually. But because it's going to be a quilt, and it's probably going to be washed. You really have to sew it down. Now that's the whole applique method. This is raw edge. These aren't, there's something called needle turn applique. That's that you turn every little corner. People do that. This is just, I cut it out and I stick it on with, you know, with the glue stuff. But I'm going to do with a free motion quilting stitch, I'm going to go around each one. Almost just like I'll show you how I stencil my stencil with my chalk. It's going to show up really nice because it's white chalk on the black fabric. It's going to be pretty. I'll show you how I'll just continue that stencil, as it were, around all of my feather bits here. Yeah, so you could leave this. There's something also called ultra hold. Apparently I've never seen it, but somebody was saying ultra hold fusible interfacing. Apparently your applique is not going anywhere, but you know, even washing, I don't know who it's made by, but I'm thinking, you know, you take so much time to do an applique, you might as well secure it down somehow. Yeah, I really like, as I'm looking at this, it's a little, again, isn't it funny, I see dull, but I like the fact, like this, it's just going to go to the edge. I think it frames. I think every quilt, that's why you put a border on a quilt. It frames your quilt. You can, I have made quilts with no borders, you know, from edge to edge. But for this, I like that this is framed in my white dots. So actually, I'm gonna I cut this an inch and a half, but I'll cut it a little bit bigger to allow for the black binding. So then you really won't see the binding. You'll just see dots at the edge, like it was a binding. But I don't want to encroach on my top edge and make this the binding. So this is going to be like another little sashed border. Do you think that makes a difference, though? It like frames that top floral. So there's two parts to the quilt. That's what my eyes see. I see the star, and then I see the frame around it with the stripe, with the dots. So anyway, I'm going to show you, enough waffling along, I'm going to show you my Accuquilt and how I cut out these bits with my machine. So here I am with my machine, and before I get to my actual machine, so I'm going to put this up like it comes. Just put that to the side there. I want to show you what I was actually talking about before we get to our actual applique. This is, you're obviously going to need fabrics and your fusible web. What fusible web is, it's a paperback product which has this gauze thin, skin thin glue on each side. This is the expensive stuff. The great, and I'll tell you, it's a bit, sorry Pelon, this is superior to this, and I'll tell you why. This has, I don't have a piece because I used it all. This has it's called double stick light fusible web from the Warm Company. Actually, isn't that interesting? Our Warm and Natural Batting, the Warm Company makes this product. This product here, which I got on the roll, I got this by the yard, is from Pelon. It's 805. It's 805. It's been around forever. It's almost, I think, probably the original fusible web. And this doesn't have, this is a double stick. This also is a double stick, but this one comes with two pieces of paper, this side and this side. This is just one side. It does the same thing. But I found that the light steamer seam, the paper comes off beautifully when you go to, which I'll show you, when you go to stick fabric to fabric. The paper on this comes off beautifully on the one side. This one, you really have to press it hard to get the glue, this is glue, to melt. And I'll be showing you that. And then to pull this paper off, my fingernails weren't doing it. I actually have to score it with a pin. So this is, and I'll show you that. This is slightly, not as good, but it works fine. It adheres fabric to fabric in an applique method. Pelon 805. Okay, that's that. Now, what you want to do, and I just did this for demonstration purposes, before I, oh, okay, so let me see if I can, yeah, I'll show you my machine, because I have something I wanted to show you for demonstration, because this is a bit fiddly. This is the machine. It's called an Accuquilt Go, Accuquilt Go cutter. It's heavy. It's really, really heavy. And when you're working with it, you need a flat surface, big time, huge time flat surface. And it comes with all sorts of dies. This is the die that I was telling you about. This is how it's packaged. This is a large feather die. Okay, this is the die we're going to be using. You also need, and it costs more money, you also need I don't know, what's it called? Oh, you need a cutting mat. A cutting mat, which is specifically meant for these. It's a cutting mat that you put on top. I'll show you the process. So you need the die, the cutting mat, and a machine. Dies are extra. You have to pay for them. You can just get the smallest dies, which are run between, say, $14 and $20, $24, something like that. The more expensive ones are more expensive. So this is our machine. So we're going to take our machine and we're going to open it up. Oops. Be careful. Jean, be careful. Oh, we're going to open it up and lay it flat down in front of us with the handle so that you can turn the handle. It's real, oh mate, it's really a cool concept. Now for demonstration purposes, I'm so professional. I actually have this little, oh, $25. Oh mate, it's expensive. Yeah, but I had a coupon at Joann Fabrics. Yeah. This is a small little die. Okay, this is just one. This is called an orange peel. You know, this just like a football shaped shape that we're going to cut out. And I have a cutting mat. Okay, so I have the die and a cutting mat. Now I just want to show you just how quick and easy this is and what you can do with these. Mine's fiddly and big, but this if you got this one, okay? They have tons of them. They have like, they have flowers and hearts and circles, and then you can actually make squares. You can make strips. It's amazing. They have dozens and dozens and dozens of dies. Accuquilt, oh, here you go. Accuquilt.com. Look it up. But this is just like a 101 what I'm doing. So I have this die, say, right? So what I've done is I have my die. I have my cutting mat. And I have a piece of fabric, just a scrap piece of fabric that I've actually glued really glued down. Kept my iron on to hopefully let me do it again. Glue that down, really, melt that glue on that fusible web. This is, I'm ironing. You put the web side down, and then you can feel it. It's like a knobbly web, and then you can feel the paper that you're actually ironing on. Obviously, you're not ironing on the glue side. You're ironing on the paper side of this product. So what I do is, again, for demonstration, I'm going to take my die and I'm going to put my paper on the top. I'm going to put my fabric on the top, paper side down. Then I'm going to put my cutting mat, doesn't matter which side. I'm going to put my cutting mat on the die. And then just positioning it, you don't have to force it, don't have to force anything, just positioning my die, just like that. You're just going to help it through and turn the handle. It's easy, right? It's going to come out the other end. Pick up your cutting mat. Like, cut me a break. There, perfectly cut, perfectly cut. This thing, right? It sort of wastes fabric, and so what I do. And you know me, not that I have a cavalier attitude, but it's just a little bit of fabric. I actually will save those bits. Now, I actually save those bits for my thing here, because the web and not the fabric this is just a square, but like the web is expensive, so I'll save them. Anyway, so what you could actually do is now, and I've done one again. I want to get to my thing here. You just peel this paper off, and again, oh, this is coming off better. This is coming off better. You peel the paper off. And then I have this die is actually a 4.5 inch. So I have a 5-inch square. So I'm just going to position it. It has a, not real sticky, but it's sticky enough. I'm going to position it corner to corner on my 5-inch square. Give it a shot of, my iron pops up. I have to hold it. All these newfangled bits. It's stuck on. Now what I've done, again for demonstration, I've shown you how you can actually, hopefully you can see that, I've actually done, for this application, I've just done a black blanket stitch around that. Now think about that. In like 2 seconds, you don't have to use black. You can do a satin stitch, you can do a zigzag, you can do a raw edge. But look, in like 2 seconds, you can make 4 blocks, or you could just have them go that way. 5-inch squares and a hunk of fabric. So unbelievably quick, unbelievable. So that's the science behind it, right? Okay. Now getting to mine. What I've done here is, remember I said I wanted to have different colors. So what do I did follow the instructions. I want to show you something. So here I'm using 4 colors for my thing, okay, to get that mirror image. I'm using pink, purple, green, and blue. Right? So I'm on about like, oh, how this stuff is expensive. I go and I pieced pieces. I save it. I save this web because it's like expensive. So I'm like, I got my 4 pieces out, and I'm ironing all my little piece things because I'm thrifty. I ironed it to the wrong side of the fabric. Or I ironed it to the right side of the fabric. You're supposed to iron it to the wrong side of the fabric. So and then I can't, this is ruined, whatever. So anyway, you iron this to the wrong side of your fabric. So what you do, what I'm going to do now is, because I want to mirror, like, what it calls for is, for this die you have like a 24-inch piece of fabric by 6 inches, okay? And you lay it down, and then you just thread it through, and you can get this piece. Well, what they've suggested, and I like the idea. Wait a second. You can see that they actually cover the image on the die. So I did this. I put this one on that one, right side up, fabric side down, and then with this one, I don't quite remember. I put the fabric side up. Now this die says it can cut. I just overlap it a bit. We'll have some overlapping and some cut off, but this is covering it pretty good. So I'm cutting out. I'll show you what I'm cutting out. Then I put the die, this one, on top of it, making sure the die cutting mat is on the actual die itself. And then I will threadle it through. Now this, they say the Accuquilt can cut up to 8 slices of fabric, but the paper takes up like half a slice. I don't know. So this is, as it were, 4 pieces of fabric. And look, I'm just doing it. Now, push it through. Be real careful you don't drop that. Hopefully you can see. Now this is where, sometimes it sticks. It's really sticking. Just like the static, as it were. But, just see if I can. Okay, now take that. Now, where's my, yes, here we go. Remember I was saying I'm going to just be working with my border, which is a piece of black fabric at this point. I've cut my border. This is the correct side of the fabric. So I'm going to be working from the middle out. Again, I didn't measure my border. I just cut it bigger and then I'll cut it down. So here's my actual border middle. Hold on, I'll just go get my quilt. And I'll show you what I'm going to do now. Let me move this down here. And I have, as a pattern as it were, I have my actual quilt here. Hopefully I'm in the frame. No, I'm not. I'm not. So I'm gonna pull this back. Pull this back. There we go. There we go. Now you won't be able to see me, but you'll be able to see this. This part of my quilt, here's my border. This is how I did it. This is the center of my quilt border here. This is the center of my quilt border here. Now, what I want to do is I want to pick up the pieces that match, and you can see them on our die here. Amazing. And here is our pieces. Now I'm just going to lay these down. Now because I've already done this, I know there's a I know the patterns will match. Let me just see. Here we go. Can you see this? See, I'm just picking up. Now the ones in here get funky, but can you see? Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's a little bit. Yeah, this one and this one. Can you see this developing? Like, oh my word. Like, it's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So I have those two colors, and then I have my pinks and my blues. Can you see this? How this is happening here. So these can go over here. So I have my pinks and my blues. Let me just pull it out, push these through. Now again, there's a little bit of waste. There's a little bit of waste. I'll just pull all this out, push these through. And you get the idea. You get the idea. This is what you end up with. And I would actually take this, not these scraps, but I'll save this bit here. I'll save that bit. I'll save that bit there, because that's a nice piece. And actually I'll save a couple of these longer pieces, because I can get some shapes out of them, because it's expensive. So I'll save these things here. And then toss that. So I'm not going to keep going on and on. I'm going to be making my pattern from my 4 different colors. As you can see, look at this. Look how my cutter has just cut these bits beautifully. Look at this. Beautiful teardrops. Now I would be here forever, you know, cutting out my, you know, with scissors, these pieces, obviously. So it's just really amazing how quickly and how efficiently it's cut out. Now some of these, and I'm just going to do one, I actually had used a seam ripper here. Some of them, or you can use a straight pin. Some of them I just have to score the fabric just to pull that piece of webbing away. Sometimes I just had to, the webbing, you're going to be, you know, with your fingernails, you're going to be, you know, here if it doesn't come across. And if you want the paper to come away cleanly, you don't want little lumps of the webbing to come away. You want the paper to come away nice and cleanly. And then your floor will be littered with paper. And then what I can do, I'm going to finish this up here, and then, so this isn't too long, I'm going to make my design. And then what you do is you actually you actually, once you get your design in place and you're pleased with it, you just peel your paper off and you just press your design onto your fabrics, just with your fingers. And then you very, very carefully take it over to your ironing board and just press it really, really well. Pressing, don't iron, of course. Press, 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 so that you're melting that glue right down into your fabrics, like this one. This isn't going anywhere until I secure it, but to be able to work with it. So you're just pressing that after you get your nice design, you're pleased with your design, you're happy with it. You know, but look, like this is amazing. It's not cheap, this tool here, but boy, is it, I don't know, I think it's worth it. It's lovely. I'll save these bits here, that I can get some other designs out of them, because you don't have to, if you know, you can just run it through, you know, if you just want one feather, you can just put a piece of fabric there and run it through. You don't have to do the whole thing, obviously. You can do just bits of it. So anyway, that's what I'm doing today. I'm putting my borders on. I'm going to finish my borders up. I'll be putting my black and white stripe, my black and white dots on. And then I'm going to be, what's next then? I have to, that'll be for next time. My husband and I were choosing the backing for this quilt. I have a fabulous backing. I don't have enough material. And he said, oh, can't you piece it? And people do piece their backings, but I'm like, unless it's perfect, and I'm not a perfect person, unless it's really aligned, I should say, it's difficult to get to because you can't see the backing. So people who piece their backings, more power to them. Anyway, that's my thing for today. I hope you have enjoyed this. Put my black and white dots on it, and I'll see you the next time as my Lone Star progresses. Thanks, folks. Bye.